What is going on, you guys? My name is Pierce. Welcome to Blackballed Podcast. The podcast with the blackest balls. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Guilty of being white, a minor threat. On Radio Blackballed. We had a lot to talk about tonight. We've got a response from Bryan Callen, the comedian that was accused of rape and at least 4 sexual assaults. We've got some updates on the mail-in voting with the presidency, all that stuff going on. Of course, people are bickering on the political sphere. My camera's out of focus, so that's dope. But I got this cool chair. I'm in a chair, but I don't have the love couch anymore, the casting couch. This is a lot better. It's a lot better on my back. Dude, I can lean back. I can look astute if I'm thinking about shit. Very, very cool with that. And of course, we've got a Bill Burr comedy story. Blurry Pierce. Honestly, it kind of fucks this way. I mean, let's be honest. It kind of fucks this way. Should I keep it that way? No, I can't do it. I'm gonna put my hand here to fix the hundreds of dollars worth of light. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, hopefully we'll keep it like that. We'll see what happens. I gotta fix my lights that cost way too much for them to fuck up. But it's my fault. I blame too many things on not knowing how to do things properly. And that's my Achilles heel, I think. David Bowe, thank you for the follow. If you guys were watching Decentralized Now, hell yeah. If you're not prone or privy to watching on DLive, you really should. DLive.tv/Murder the Media, the company that I work for. Pretty cool stuff. You just saw Decentralized Now on here. And one of those guys did a debate earlier, so he's done like 5 hours of podcasting today. Some kind of online interaction with video. It's been awesome. So last episode, I talked about Bryan Callen. I talked about the comedian, the actor, the writer. He's been in a lot of movies. Hangover, I think it was the first one. It might have been the second one. He had a small part in Joker. He did, what was that movie with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton? I think it was just called Brothers, but it was an MMA movie. He was in that. He's in a lot of roles. He's also the co-host of Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub, America's favorite comedian, Brendan Schaub. He's in a few things. Mixed Mental Arts, a few different podcasts. He's one of Joe Rogan's best buddies, and recently he's found himself in some hot water in what I'm calling the Me Too Round 2. I think this is the second wave of the Me Too movement. And there's a lot of things at play here, but I want to be clear. Last episode, I was a little bit rough on Bryan Callen. Thank you, Kim Trail. I appreciate that. Kim Trail was the guy that was doing the debates earlier. Really good debate, by the way. Plug that, by the way, Kim Trail, if you want to. Plug it in the chat. I was really bad on Bryan Callen. I was mad at him because of one particular reason. It was a very weird reason, because I'm not involved, ultimately. But I saw what happened to Chris D'Elia when Chris D'Elia got into this hot water over what's going on with allegations that were made on Twitter with eggshells for profile pictures. Nobody of validity that we could actually turn to. No case was opened. He had just been accused of trying to solicit sex from minors. The text that came out never insinuated that he was trying to do any such thing. And whenever they would tell him that they were minors, he would immediately back off. One in particular struck me as pretty damning against the girls coming forward, because in one of them she reminds Chris, like, hey, I should let you know, since you're kind of coming on to me, I'm 17 or 16, whatever it was. And Chris said, oh, my bad, Jesus, you're way too young. I thought I saw you at the comedy show. You have to be 18 to be there. My bad. And just stopped communicating with her. One time it was weird where he found out the chick was like 17 and waited a year and some change and then messaged her again. And then one time, a girl messaged him while she was underage, and she messaged him when she had turned 18 and was like, hey, I'm down to fuck, and he was like, I'm okay. There was no evidence that Chris D'Elia was doing anything illegal. Now, is he into younger chicks like Leonardo DiCaprio is, like 18, 19, 20? Maybe, yeah, I think so. I think we can all agree that that's what a lot of these guys do in Hollywood. They go for the younger chicks. Woody Allen liked to fuck his daughter. So, I mean, are we really out of the ordinary here with Hollywood? That being said, he did nothing illegal, and what pissed me off about the Bryan Callen situation was, I kind of called it. I knew that something was going to happen to Bryan, just because of the way Bryan is. He was in the celebrity spotlight around Chris D'Elia. I didn't know 100% it was going to be Bryan that got affected, but I knew it was somebody in that friend group was going to come next in this whole Me Too round 2. And as to the validity of those arguments, I was scared because a lot of these comedians are skeevy dudes. I love them. They're funny sometimes, but they're skeevy dudes. And Bryan Callen completely threw his friend Chris D'Elia under the bus, in my opinion. I went back and I watched some of the videos where Chris D'Elia is being shunned essentially by The Fighter and the Kid, by Brennan Schaub of all people, and Bryan Callen. I watched Bobby Lee not really take his side. Cheeto Santino, Andrew Santino. I watched all these comedians in his inner circle, except for really Joey Diaz and the guy that opens for Chris D'Elia. Those two guys out of the majority of the herd didn't really say anything good about Chris, except for I can't believe that he did this. I mean, he's a monster if this is true. They weren't really giving him the benefit of the doubt or due process for that matter, and I thought that was skeevy. I was thinking, well, if you're not willing to take your friend's side when he's not even been proven guilty yet, then there's something off about you. Are you trying to cover something up? What's going on here? Then the last episode on Friday, we talked about how Bryan Callen had been ousted for allegedly sexually assaulting 4 women, up to raping one in his house. And I immediately went to karma. I immediately went to, you get what you fucking deserve because you didn't cover your buddy Chris's back like you should have, in my opinion. Now, ultimately, I am not the deciding factor of this. I don't know these people. But it really pissed me off from like a bystander's point of view. And I shouldn't have said it as rough as I did. I was trying to get across, you have to really watch your back with how you talk about people when shit hits the fan and comes back around to you. Because I knew that something was going to happen again in this inner circle. That's how it happens. The Me Too movement is like celebrity deaths. It comes in 3s or 30s or however, God knows, like once it pops on this one group, it's just going to keep popping up around there. And we don't know why yet. We have some theories as to why, but we don't know why ultimately. And I want to see the real skeletons in DiCaprio's closet, says Don Jolly on the chats. Dude, you never know, man. You never know. I think, and we'll get into that later. We'll talk about that later. I didn't want Bryan Callen to not have his friends back because I knew shit was going to happen eventually. And it did, and I was very, not happy, but I was very like, I told you so, to Bryan Callen, saying you shouldn't have fucking, caved. You shouldn't have been a pussy about your friend. And to this day, Chris D'Elia has not been proven guilty of anything, but his career's over, and that's what they want. So here's Bryan Callen's response on everything that's been going on recently, and where Chris D'Elia went into hiding essentially, and hasn't said anything or come out into the public spotlight other than, I think, to TMZ to try to explain, I've never done this with underage girls ever. Other than that, he's been out of the spotlight. Here's what Bryan Callen decided to do. I want to see your guys' thoughts on this too.
Hey everybody, Bryan Callen here. When you're in a situation like I am, you get a lot of advice from a lot of different people. And it usually falls into 2 different categories. Either they tell you to post a statement and disappear, or they say lay low and let the news cycle pass you by. Well, for better or for worse, I'm not doing any of that. I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here defending myself against something I did not do 21 years ago. So this is me saying that I categorically and absolutely deny all the allegations against me. I wanted you to see me say that. I didn't want to post some stale statement. I wanted you to hear that come out of my mouth. I have been characterized as someone that no one who knows me, not my friends, not my family, not my fans, would ever recognize. And that's because that's not who I am. That is not that's not something I could do. Those are things never the things that I couldn't do. Those are not things that I would ever do. That is not how I have ever lived my life. And by the way, this is not a video about cancel culture. This is not a video, it's certainly not a video about the Me Too movement. I happen to believe, and it's taken me to be completely honest, it's taken me a while to come to this conclusion, to understand this. I believe that the Me Too movement is one of the most important movements of my lifetime, because for the first time in history, it gives women recourse against the abuse of power. And that makes the world a better place. And that is not a political statement. That's just fair play. And I believe in fair play. But I also believe in due process. And we live in a very strange time where Anybody can make an allegation against you, and you are guilty until proven innocent. It's just a fact that social media and the press alone can act as judge, jury, and executioner. And I don't think that's good for anybody. And by the way, I don't know how to fix that. I don't think anybody in particular is even to blame. But when something like this happens, this is pretty much the only way you can defend yourself. So this is me standing up and saying that I have been falsely accused of terrible things that I did not do. And that's what I have to say. Thank you for listening. And I want to thank my fans for rallying around me. Your comments mean so much to me. And to be honest with you, I need them right now. I will be taking a leave of absence, obviously, from my podcast. That's pretty much it. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
That was Bryan Callen. Oh, my music is playing. I couldn't hear it for shift. We have a lot of comments about this on the D-Live chat. Busted asks, do you think he'll survive all this? No, I don't think he will. I don't think Chris D'Elia will. I think what will happen to these comics and what will happen to the rest of male comics coming forward from this moment on is what the Louis C.K. method is, which is brilliant if you are Louis C.K., not if you are... I don't even think Bryan Callen's on this level, to be honest with you. Chris D'Elia might be, but now, I mean, his demographic was young people, like 20s, male and female, mostly female. So here's the Louis C.K. method. The Louis C.K. method is you go dark, you don't do shit. You do some silent little stage times here and there in the Midwest, in Poland, in France. This is where he did these things, and then you release a special and you release the rest of your shit behind a paywall on your own website. Maybe you could pull a Bill Burr, do some kind of all things comedy company that's completely backed by you, not by anybody else, and you can release content that way. But I still think that these people are going to have to slowly but surely get into paywall access groups on like their personal pages. It's all going to go back to websites again. It used to be everything you could find on YouTube or a streaming service. I think it's going to all go back to websites. Louis C.K. did that with his last special that came out. Did you not know about that? 2019. Louis C.K.'s got a new special. It's the end of 2019. He releases Sincerely Louis C.K. for $8. He made more off of that, what's projected. I'm not sure if it's... I can't verify it. Allegedly, he made more off of that than he had any of his Netflix specials he released or anything prior to that. All because he made all the profit, he spent all the money, he did everything, and he knew what to charge it at that people would buy it at. He did that before with some album releases and his show Horace and Pete, but it really took off now that he's like underground, and it almost made him in a way more of like a cult following. It almost drew more of that crowd in that they're dedicated. I'm one of those. He's doing a new podcast with his girlfriend now, and it's called Long Distance Relationships. And it was like $3 an episode, or you could buy all 12 for like $10, something like that. I did that, supporting him because I still like his work. I still like what he did. That's my opinion on it. And Louis did survive it, but Louis like Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal had some bad sets, but you'll never hear about it because of how legendary he was overall, how good of a man he was overall. I don't know if we could say the same about Bryan Callen. I've never been a big fan of Bryan's stand-up. It's very Dane Cook without the material, in my opinion. It's very active, very charismatic, and he does all these movements, and it's funny, but it's not something that I would pay to see. Like his special was out on Amazon, Complicated Apes, and you had to pay for it originally. It might be free now. It might be off now after all this. But I was like, why did I pay for this? Same with Brennan Shaw, but that's a whole other fucking story. So let's read some more of the chat. Fuck Bryan Callen, says Shotcast, because he's just pandering in this video. I agree there was pandering to be done there. I don't know if it was appropriate. I never think that apologizing for bullshit's appropriate. I don't think, and I think someone said this in the chat, just don't, oh, it was Dan Raj, just, yeah, don't apologize, just deny it. And then that's all you have to do. If you're not guilty, don't apologize for anything. Bryan Callen goes over this point. Look at these puppy dog eyes, by the way. Bryan Callen goes over this point of the Me Too movement is important. It's special. Sure, man. And I honestly don't doubt that he's had those opinions already before all this happened. Was it pandering? Probably. Is he trying to save face a little bit? Yeah. I mean, after all, Now, let's say if half the population that's heard of this news takes the side of these females that they've never met and there's no due process on these investigations at all, half the world hates him now. Half of his demographic goes, oh, he's a rapist. You've lost half your income. You've lost your sponsors. You've lost everything. And you really think that you're supposed to just go, and that I would have the balls to just go, oh, fuck you if you don't believe me. We'll wait till due process. Dude, these people are going to ostracize him, even if it comes out that if they investigate this and realize all of these women were lying. The other issue is, it's multiple accusations, and it's bad enough dealing with one. It's bad enough going over one thing, especially something along the lines of rape. Now, here's the weird thing. Bryan Callen's accuser, the rape accuser, 4 years later after the apparent rape had occurred, where even her brother knew about it, or her boyfriend at the time, and was willing to go to the police, but she said no, she auditioned for a role as his wife on a television show. I listen, I'm not a woman. I couldn't tell you what the right answer is to rape. I obviously, right here, armchair quarterbacking it, I can go, tell the fucking cops, like immediately. I know girls that have been raped that didn't tell the cops or didn't tell them in enough time, and now there's no way to prove it, right? And it's especially harder to get a sample of their DNA somehow. It's a really hard thing. And I also, at the same time, don't see it likely that a rape victim would go and audition for the rapist role, or a role with the rapist as their wife. I find that highly unlikely. That's just my opinion, but I find it highly unlikely. Dan Raj says, I think that he'll survive. I think D'Elia would have been fine if he just denied it. So many people just don't give a single fuck. I agree. Thank you, Bill, for the ice cream. Let's read some more. Despite the cancel culture bullshit, elites do rape a lot of women. It's this tension between taking allegations seriously and not giving up. And that's kind of the issue with the Me Too movement. Is, again, no normal human on this planet goes, you know what? No, I'm actually against the Me Too movement. I'm for rape. No smart, sane, even half-brained person believes that. No one's like a pro-rape person. Like, no, I think we should rape more. No one says that. The issue is, Me Too movements, just like your high school rape accusation scenario, you've at least heard once in your life around you, right? Thankfully, I went to a super small school, so everyone knew whatever was going on, but there was no accusations of anything. But a few of my friends around me were involved with or knew of accusations going on. Even one of my lady friends was bringing up some stuff at a school, like, he raped me, all this shit. Those were at the public schools. I was the private school guy that hid behind the curtains with my expensive tuition and my uniform. Nothing happened to me. But public schools around me, whole different scenario. Very, very bad areas. And we always hear about this stuff. But the issue is the wolves, right? The crying wolves, where they just lie, and now it muddies the waters of all the actual rape victims, who then, because of these girls that lie, feel scared to go to the police or go to their principal or go to their boss at whatever age they are and confess these things about, hey, this guy did this to me. Where was it at? Where did he touch you? I know it's invasive, it's scary, and you've just been completely mutilated of any form of innocence you had, of your security as a person. But because of these lying people, the Chadwick, what's his name? From The Talking Dead. The comedian, like that, Hart Chadwick, something like that. Aziz Ansari accusations, the ones where you look into it later and you go, no, the chick was just a bitch. Or maybe the guy was a dick, but there was no rape or sexual assault that happened, but it's too late. These people are off TV now, or they're canceled now, or they lose their sponsors now. This is the damning part of the Me Too movement. We know that Hollywood's corrupt. We know that if people in Hollywood are fucking kids, they'll for sure fucking rape a chick. You know, there's no moral compass these fucks have. But at the same time, do I think everyone in Hollywood's a rapist? No, I do not. Do I think Bryan Callen is? I don't know, because there's no due process, and we're never going to get to that. Just like we never got to it with Chris D'Elia or anything like that. Phil Nomerly says, you've lost that loving feeling. Despite the cancel culture bullshit, elites do rape a lot of women. Exactly. Men canceling power via accusation alone. Busted says Mel Gibson. I didn't know Mel Gibson ever had a Me Too movement go on. I knew that he was The whole drunk phone call came out where he was like, the fucking Jews, all that shit. I didn't know the rest of it. But here's an interesting thing about this whole case. We have two people of importance that are here to talk about their sides as people that know Bryan Callen to some extent from comedy. We've got Sam Tripoli and we've got Owen Benjamin giving their takes on this. Here's something also I found interesting about the whole Bryan Callen situation. The minute Chris D'Elia's shit hit the fan, the minute the Twitter surges started going, the cancel Chris started hashtagging, the minute everything went to shit for Chris D'Elia, every comic on the circuit had a video about it, or made a post about it, or had an Instagram thing about it. Whitney Cummings to Andrew Santino to Joe Rogan, everyone was talking about Chris D'Elia. As it stands, other than Amy Schumer, which we'll get to, the only people of any importance so far in this whole thing about Bryan Callen to speak out has not been Whitney Cummings, has not been Joe Rogan, has not even been Brennan Schaub. It's been Sam Tripoli and Chris D'Elia. I'm sorry, Owen Benjamin, not Chris D'Elia. The weirdest people to talk about Chris D'Elia and to talk about the Bryan Callen situation. Here we go. This is Sam Tripoli expressing his discontent with the situation at hand. Let me back this up a little bit. I think it's right here.
Before all this crazy shit started coming out, that dude has come around. All right? I can only tell you what I know. And what I know is I know Bryan Callen. Okay? And Bryan Callen is a fucking G. Now, if this young lady who came forward had something really happen to her, then go do something legal. Take some legal action. And that breaks my heart because I love Bryan Callen. But just making accusations against somebody? And then what? What happened with Chris? Anything happened with that case? No. The only thing that happened is what? His career is destroyed.
Exactly. Which is what they want.
Years, decades of hard work gone. Having to defend himself. And everybody's moved on. 7 days it takes. 7 days for everybody to move on. I've known Callen for 2 decades. I've gone around the world with that guy and seen nothing but a gentleman. Well, Sam, I've gotten in arguments with comics that I love on Instagram. Well, Sam, just because somebody's really nice around you doesn't mean he's not doing weird stuff in weird places. Hey, I know Bryan Callen. And let me tell you something, everybody. The Comedy Store, the walls whisper. The walls whisper. I know everything. All the comics know everything. Everybody knew about Louis C.K., including Tig Notaro, who went fucking nuts on him later. She knew all about it. How do I know? How do I know she knew about it? Because I knew about it. And I've had one interaction with Louis C.K.
So that's Sam Tripoli, and the whole video is 50 minutes long. I watched it today to give you the best clip about it. Sam Tripoli is a former cokehead and former alcoholic. He's got a few loose screws up there. He's a great guy, though. Honest guy. He does the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Eddie Bravo and a few other people where he goes over conspiracies and everything. He actually just recently, I think it was 2 days ago, was at a walk in California standing up against pedophilia and standing for humans' rights, especially children's rights. Very upstanding guy, even if he's a little bit wonky. And he was basically, his whole video goes to the logical conclusion. I love Bryan Callen. He doesn't seem like he would ever have had the heart or the lack thereof to do this. However, I want to know, with an investigation, with due process, if he is a rapist. That way I can ostracize him and shame him and spit in his face. Or I can know that he never did these things. That's the perfect way to go about it. He actually goes on in here, and there's 2 different theories going on. You're about to hear Owen Benjamin's in a second. There's 2 different theories that happen with this whole situation. And I have my own opinion, of course. Sam Tripoli believes that Joe Rogan's the real target. Because, you know, again, he's a conspiracy-minded guy. Not to say Owen Benjamin isn't, but Sam Tripoli is a conspiracy-minded guy. Joe Rogan just had a multi-$100 million Spotify deal, exclusively putting him on Spotify by the end of the year, video and podcast, like audio podcast. That's a huge thing. On top of that, Joe Rogan's now moving to Austin, Texas, we believe. He's already gotten young Jamie down there. The whole plan is to go to Texas, get away from California, especially during coronavirus, where there's really no need to be in such a highly populated, expensive area when you can't do anything. You can't go to your comedy stores. You can't make your rounds at the comedy clubs. And Austin's got a pretty good comedy scene as well. Joe Rogan's the target, according to Sam Tripoli. Think about it this way, he says. They've gotten Chris D'Elia. They tried to get Joey Diaz, but Joey Coco Diaz don't take none, son. I got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel. Joey Diaz didn't give a single fuck. He's like, yeah, I told a woman to suckle a mink when I was behind the stage at a comedy store. Sue me. I'm not going to apologize. And I respect Joey Diaz for that, in a way. Ultimately, Joey Diaz did what Dan Raj says in the chat. He just goes, fuck you, I'm not a rapist. And then no one could say anything. They just were like, oh, okay. Because people are going to think what they think. And everyone loves Uncle Joey. And now they've gone after Bryan Callen. Who's next, right? This is all inside of Joe Rogan's inner circle, according to Sam Tripoli. He believes that the whole goal is, he thinks Joe Rogan is so squeaky clean, he's so free of all this debauchery and degeneracy, that they're trying to get all the people around him so they can finally go, how were you friends with all these people and you never did a thing about this shit? You never backed up the women that were being raped and sexually assaulted. That's his theory, that they're trying to get Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan is the invisible leader of the alternative media, of the free thought programs, where you are able to think freely outside of these controlled environments on the CNN or the MTV. That's what Sam Tripoli believes. And of course, Owen Benjamin, who's not the biggest Joe Rogan fan, he's a height supremacist, doesn't really like how short Joe Rogan is, has something entirely different to say about all this. Again, just like Sam Tripoli, Owen Benjamin can talk for hours. So I had to go through this shit and find a clip that I thought would perfectly surmise the premise of what Owen Benjamin is trying to get after here. And here it is. This is Owen Benjamin explaining how Joe Rogan is not only not squeaky clean, but knew about this the whole time and is a part of the equal Me Too shit that's going on, where they're out there just kind of treating women like trash and they deserve to be canceled. Again, Owen is biased, but just hear this one out.
To this, buddy? She was calling me because she was horny, and I was like, look, I have a new girlfriend, but I have a friend who'll fuck you, and he's just like me. And so I sicked Bryan on my ex-girlfriend, and he fucked her. One of the funniest conversations I ever had with an ex-girlfriend. She calls me up, she goes, your friend came...
By the way, do you hear Eric Weinstein laughing to that? Hey, feminists, what do you think of that?
...inside me. And I went, what?
Listen to this, guys.
I sicked Bryan on my ex-girlfriend, and he fucked her. One of the funniest conversations I ever had with an ex-girlfriend. She calls me up, she goes, your friend came inside me. And I went, what? She goes, yeah, your fucking friend came inside me. And I was like, well, did you tell him that you were on the pill? She goes, no, I'm not on the pill. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You know, that's Bryan. You guys should have worked that out. But to have an ex-girlfriend call you up mad because your friend ejaculated inside of her, it was one of the most... I hung up the phone. I literally fell to the ground laughing. I was lying on my back on the floor of my house going, ah! Like, it's just so ridiculous. That's Bryan Callen.
Bryan Callen, everybody.
So I called him up, and I said, what happened? And he's like, whoops. It was just such a ridiculous conversation.
Eric Weinstein.
But I've been friends with that guy forever. So all of our conversations are like that.
I see.
All of our conversations are like jokes and hazing and shitting on each other, but it's all hugs and love. I mean, I love that guy to death.
He's so positive and generous. And, you know, one funny thing, I was looking at his Instagram, and he's...
Bear in mind...
Yeah, so that's proof, according to Owen Benjamin, that Joe Rogan and Bryan Callen are into assaulting women and raping them. Listen, I love Owen Benjamin videos. I like him. I like the way he talks about his homestead. I like his family values now. He went batshit crazy for a while. And much like Alex Jones, you're like, there's some diamonds in the rough there. There's some truth behind what he says. I'm not going to completely discredit him there. Listen to the last thing that he wants to talk about in regards to Toe Rogan, he calls him. Where's it at? It's at 9:02, I think. Can't see because of my fucking bonk. There we go. Oh, it's at 9:07. All right.
All right. Best apocalypse. Yeah. What will the toe have to say? That's why he's trying to hide in California or Texas. And here's the thing. California is probably a little mad at the toe. They want that 10 million. So, he got his Spotify deal of 100 mil in California. Now he's going to Texas. California don't like that much. Every one of those dumpster pumps that Joe had and all of his DMT and weed and all that and his open borders and bragging about his rapist friends and all that, you got to stay and you got to pay the piper, old Joe.
So that's Owen Benjamin essentially saying you get what you fucking deserve. And you can't reap all this shit without sowing it, man. I think that Sam and Owen both know more than I do. They were both around Joe Rogan a lot. They were both around these friend groups a lot. In fact, Sam Tripoli is the reason why Bryan Callen got into the Comedy Store to begin with in California. They've toured some, and Owen Benjamin, of course, was friends with Joe for a long time, was on a show at least once. I think he was on twice. So they've been around for a bit. They know what they're talking about. I still think, of course, they have their biases, and you have to take those things with a grain of salt. Now, here's what Owen Benjamin believes. It's not a conspiracy that they're trying to take away Joe Rogan and cancel him, and he's not the forefront of this movement. They're not just trying to go after the small ladders going up to the top, which is Joe Rogan, because Bryan Callen's father is a part of the Council of Foreign Relations. Bryan Callen is someone that comes from mega wealth, mega big government, mega protection from mega daddy. That's what he believes. He also, now that part's true. This is the part that I haven't been able to find proof on. Dan Raj also says, thank you for watching all these and shorting them up so we don't have to. You're fucking welcome. It was horrible. He believes that Chris D'Elia's dad is a CIA agent. I know that Chris D'Elia's dad was well off, and I knew that he did something, I thought he did something kind of government working, but I couldn't find anything online. So I don't know where Owen Benjamin got that from, but that's what Chris D'Elia is apparently, the son too is a CIA agent. And yeah, Joe Rogan was trying to pull Owen in, if you watch the whole video. Owen was on Joe Rogan's, the last time Owen was on Joe Rogan's podcast was when Owen kind of started the spiral. He was on the verge of getting canceled from Twitter for standing up against trans children and having their bodies mutilated at young ages, which, look, even Joe Rogan is against, and Joe Rogan's a pretty liberal guy. He sees, like, hey, they're not fully formed yet. Maybe we should wait till they're adults and fully formed before we pump them full of hormones and, you know, completely distort their privates into something else. And maybe by that time they'll know for sure if they want to be trans or not. And he thinks that Callen did have the heart to do this and could have done this evil stuff that he's being accused of. Again, though, Owen is still keeping his sanity. He is saying, I'm not hoping for or against anything. I just don't think that he did it, but I think that he might have had the heart to. Look at Joe, because again, he doesn't really like Joe too much. But I don't really buy either of these theories completely. I don't believe it's some big grand conspiracy to take over Joe Rogan and to cancel him, even though I believe that people have tried to. And I don't think that Joe Rogan is like the beast of the YouTube world trying to pull in the Bryan Callens and the Owen Benjamins to get them to go and like have sex with these women and live degenerate lives and do all the coke and all this stuff. I don't believe either of those things fully lived out is true, is what we're after. I'm somewhere in the middle, but I think that what's most easy to surmise from all this is it's just the Me Too movement round 2. Again, there's nothing wrong with calling out rapists. Just to make that clear, no one in my chat, not me, not you, watching it at home, like rapist, like rape. We don't enjoy that. We don't get off to that. Not really our thing, because we're decent humans. No one is for that. And whoever has been caught without a shadow of a doubt as a rapist, as a child molester, as a murderer, deserves to die, in my opinion. Right away and publicly, by the way. That's my opinion. I would want that to be done immediately, right away, and public. Maybe people would stop fucking around a little bit more. We all know that Hollywood's a cesspool of degeneracy. But I think that it's a Me Too movement. I think that that's all it is. And it's, of course, the radical people trying to cancel people for no reason. Again, without due process, we will never know what Chris D'Elia did or didn't do. We will never know what Bryan Callen did or didn't do. I would offer to you that that's the point. That's what they want you to live with, is the great unknown of, is the guy, because again, these are not my idols, but some of you at home might idolize Bryan Callen. I don't think so, but might idolize Chris D'Elia. That's more realistic, right? People around my age really love that guy. And now for the rest of their lives, seemingly, they're going to have to wonder, did he do it? Was he trying to fuck little girls? What? I never know. And the same thing with Bryan Callen. Did he really rape a chick in 94 or 99, whenever it was? Did this really happen? And you're going to have people that for the rest of their lives are going to argue with the opposite side of he was always a rapist or he was never a rapist, and they're going to continually fight because there was no due process, and that's the point. They don't want people to be in trouble or held responsible for real actions. They want people that they don't like to be canceled immediately. That's all it takes in Hollywood, especially if you're someone on the edgier side of performance arts like comedy or music. It's a wonder Marilyn Manson didn't get canceled when the Columbine killings happened, right? Way back in the 90s. The first thing Bill O'Reilly did on Fox News, Bill O'Reilly was like that world's version of Tucker Carlson. Any bit of news credibility or at least infamy you could think of. When you thought of the news, you thought of Bill O'Reilly, right? Even if you didn't like him, that's just who popped up on the TV all the times. When you were in the hospital, when you were at the deli, that's who was on TV. He interviews Marilyn Manson, who's dressed up like a demon, like this goth, weird-eyed, all pale, and he's like, yeah, they cited you in their manifesto, so what do you say about that? Do you think that your music kills these kids? And it's all this laced wording to get people to just hear at home, yeah, this demonic-looking guy is the reason why these kids are dead. It's just easy to think, it's easy to go with. Yeah, well, Chris D'Elia is a handsome guy, and he played a pedophile in this one show on Workaholics, and in the show You, he's probably guilty of pedophilia. It's easy thinking for spoon-fed people. That's it. It's a wonder Marilyn Manson did not die cataclysmically from that for his career. But I think the same thing's happening here, and I think I can prove that a little bit. Let's go into this next part. This is Amy Schumer's post about Bryan Callen. Keep in mind, who's Amy Schumer? She's someone that used to be something someday, right? And she was going to be this big hot thing. Not really hot, but you get what I'm saying. She was going to be this big thing. She was going to be like the white Leslie Jones. He just recognized that face. She was in all the movies. She was funny. Not really. She kind of flopped after the Leather special. And her career started to go downhill. So now what does she do? She remains relevant by protesting Judge Kavanaugh. She remains relevant by talking shit about Bryan Callen. Here's what we go into. Don Jolly says, she's fat. Yankee Kyle says, I'm just 61 followers away from 200. Yankee Kyle, congratulations. Guys, if you want to, on DLive, go and give Yankee Kyle a follow. That way he can host our streams and we can host his. How about that? Here it is. Actor Bryan Callen accused of sexual assault misconduct. And this is Amy Schumer's post on it. I don't know if you guys can see it at home, so I'm going to read it. Mr. Rogers, welcome to my neighborhood. Thank you for the follow. The LA Times just published this article by Amy Kinla about the repeat offenses of Bryan Callen. Let's forget about the fact that she forgot to say alleged. Alleged, unproven, still investigating. None of that. Just repeat offenses of Bryan Callen. Thank you to the brave women coming forward and sharing their stories. You are saving the women. Listen to the brainwashing here. Not because it's not 100% true. They muddy the waters just enough to where it's credible, it's believable, it's inspiring to women that have been through things before. Thank you to the brave women coming forward and sharing their stories. You are saving the women who may have come after you. And to the comics who are annoyed with me for standing with these ladies, what are you so afraid of? Available on my number in my bio if anyone wants to talk about Bryan or anyone else who has sexually assaulted you. At Bryan Callen, have a nice day. A few comments from Amy Kinla, of course, the journalist. Laura Benanti, I'm going to pretend like I know who these people are. Hari, Marilyn, all say thank you, blah, blah, blah. Lady Bailey, 84, says, so he's already guilty? Isn't that the funny thing? Now then this person goes, now do Joe Biden. Yes, absolutely. That's the point. You have to be consistent with this stuff. When Joe Biden's tapes came out of the alleged assault from the 80s, where then there was reports and proof that, thank you, Mr. M13, there was reports and proof that there was a Larry King call in the 80s of the mother calling about the fact that a senator that will not be named raped this woman, raped her daughter. There's all this proof. Then I think it was, what was it? Whoever's in charge of Larry King, MSNBC back in the day. I don't know who the fuck was in charge. Whoever was in charge of it swiped that episode off of iTunes. And you're thinking, okay, well then surely these Me Too movement people, these Alyssa Milanos, these Amy Schumers are going to come out and say, we're not going to vote for Joe Biden because, rape allegations, sexual assault allegations. And also, let's not forget the fact that Joe Biden, whether you like him, like the left side of politics or right side of politics, Joe Biden sniffs girls, little girls, grabs them by their prepubescent chests, gropes women, gropes children. Has a whole weird speech about where he was talking about kids' leg hair and his leg hair and how the kids would sit in his lap and he loves kids sitting on his lap and playing with his leg hair. Weird shit. The guy's weird. He's skeevy, okay? No one says dick about it. Not Alyssa Milano or anything. In fact, she goes against her own words and says, well, I believe all women, but I believe that this woman's lying about Joe Biden. Of course you do, because he fits your agenda. He has the power. I thought you were the one against power dynamics and the patriarchy. You got to be consistent here. Amy Schumer is doing this simply for the clout. That's all it is. Simply to bring down a man that's above her. Again, there's nothing wrong with people using their celebrity or their politics or their power or whatever little thing they have as their advantage to get rid of the scum of the earth that are pedophiles, that are rapists, that are murderers. But when you use your powers to just lie, because that's what you're doing, Amy. You're not trying to be good and defend and protect women. You are acting as if Bryan Callen is already convicted of being a rapist and multiple count sexual offender. That's what you're doing. You are lying. Because now, if he's proven wrong, how many people liked this, by the way? Gracie, oh, I won't say that name. That's a friend of mine. And, okay, so 154,000 people essentially have liked that photo from Amy Schumer. For the rest of their lives, they're probably not going to hear the redaction if Bryan Callen were to be proven innocent. If it even ever goes to court, which it probably won't. That's the thing. That's the damning thing. They're not going to let you ever live something that you may have never even done down. Tell me how that's helping women at all. That's not helping anybody. But it does bring a good point, right? It does bring this a lot. Gosh, Pierce is so handsome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Automatique, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So, it brings us to a good crossroads right here. Yes, there are plenty of women that use their power and celebrity, or that use their voice as a woman, to lie about men and destroy their careers forever. People for high school and college athletes, to teachers and professors, to actors and politicians. It's the oldest trick in the book, which is the lie. However, if this is not a wake-up call, I'm not saying that we are in here just deviant men. I'm saying wake up and realize, number one, watch who you put your dick into. Watch what you do that, okay? I would suggest, and this is one of the beautiful things about monogamy, you don't got to worry about shit. You don't have to worry about any fucking accusations. You know what? Mike Pence is probably less liked than Trump. The VP of the United States is probably less liked than President Trump. However, no one's ever going to get him on anything. He's the most fucking vanilla bowl of ice cream. He won't even go into a room with another woman without witnesses there, unless it's his wife. I respect that. It's actually funny that he did that. One of the churches I grew up in did that, where there was like a women's ministry, and they would have these meetings and discussions, and if ever the leader of the women's ministry needed to meet with the pastor, it would always be in front of like 4 or more people, like broad, diverse ranges of female and men, to make sure that no one had anything to say rumor-wise. I know that's a headache, and I know you're thinking, what is this, the fucking 1400s? But kind of in this climate, in this day and age, it's a witch hunt, where you might be completely innocent of anything ever to women, about women, your whole life. And one accusation is going to ruin your career forever. Whether that's as a celebrity or as just your middle-class working job in your world. One accusation can ruin you forever. I like to think of it as, what was that story? Daniel in the Bible, right? Just a story to think about. They had to invent a weird law overnight that was a loophole to get him trapped into convicting him of something, to make him guilty of something. They hated this man so much, but they couldn't find a reason to get onto him or to send him to jail or to imprison him. And they had to make up a rule just to get around him. Essentially, it's the idea of living in such a way that not even the people that hate you the most could get you if they wanted to. And men, this should be a wake-up call for you, that if you're with someone and you like them and you're married to them especially, just stay with them. Don't fuck around. You're not going to win anything. And if you're looking for someone that's not going to oust you as some kind of crazy nutshell and lie about you and ruin your career, and you've already got a girl that's pretty goddamn stable, keep it, please. And grow with that. Also, just, I know we've all got skeletons in our past. We've all been horn dogs in high school or college. But dude, for God's sakes, control yourself. One night where you're horny as hell at a bar and you think a girl's giving you fuck me eyes might turn into you standing before a judge having to prove that you didn't rape a chick because you were both drunk. So I'm just saying, nothing good happens at night, and don't think you can just chase tail without any consequences, whether that's STDs or getting rape accusations or anything like that. Again, women are not the issue, and neither are men. There's bad in both. There are rapists, and then there's the cry wolfers, and they're both degenerate scum. They both should stop, but they're not going to. So be prepared on either end. Just be a good man, and you won't have to worry about bad shit happening to you. Be someone that can't get hit with a spotlight of lies. That's it. Otto Matique says, I checked the About Me page on DLive. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Sweet, dude. Well, it definitely... you just followed. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, our main thing is dlive.tv/murderthemedia, where you can comment just like Otto Matique over here, just like Talha Hero 123, and talk to us. And also, if you don't like what I have to say, I completely get that. I have a bassy Tom Arnold kind of nasally voice. I can't help it. I was jumped by 4 dudes. My nose is broken. I can't fucking breathe out of it. I sound like a pop punk vocalist. However, if you don't mind sticking around, you get paid to watch me on DLive. Whatever money I make throughout the night, I get to bring back some to you, whatever I choose to. If it's a good night, I drop a lot of money. You get paid to listen to me. That's a pretty good deal. Not a lot of people can say that. My girlfriend can't even say that, and she listens to me for free. That's unreal. She's crazy, but you're not, so definitely get paid to listen to what I got to say, because you might not agree, but you get paid for it. All right, real quick, we're going to get into our second part of the show tonight soon, which is the Radio Blackballed segment. I do a podcast for an hour, 5 nights a week, and then I also do a radio show where I play your songs on DLive exclusively. But I wanted to kind of lighten the mood after all this and go into something I think is funny and worth hearing. You've probably heard it before if you're a Bill Burr fan, but this is an animated version of it, and it's one of my favorite things of all time. It's Bill Burr's helicopter bit, told with animation over it. It's a good way to lighten up the stream before we get into the radio show. Check this shit out. All right, here we go.
I saw this story down in Orange County, right? Down in Orange County, California, this guy gave helicopter tours for 30 years. 30 years without incident. Hands the business off to his son. The American dream. I built it up for 30 years. Here you go, son. Make the family and the family name proud. All right, Dad, I love you. Right? This poor kid, 5 days in. He's supposed to give a tour to a couple. Only the dude shows up. The kid thought it was weird, but he's like, I need the money. I got to give him a tour. Right? So he takes this guy up. 10 minutes into the tour, the dude fucking jumped out. Yeah. 5 days in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deep Thought 76.
From the balloons and the cake. We love you, son. Keep the family tree going. The tradition alive. 5 fucking days later, this kid, he probably barely had the speech down. Just sitting there flying the helicopter. All right, if you look out the left side of the aircraft, that's Orange County. There's over 27 miles of beaches. Put your seatbelt back on. 27 miles of beaches. Was established as a county in 1903. Sir, please don't open the door. Sir, what are you doing? Sir, no, don't! What the fuck? Oh my God! What the fuck? Air traffic control. I don't know who's on this frequency, but you really need somebody to jump out of the fucking helicopter. 5 days in. So I read further into the story. Turns out the guy who jumped out, he was 61 years old, terminally ill. He was in pain every day. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, and he had had enough. At that point, that guy immediately became a hero in my world, right? You know what I love about him? Not only did he make the decision, he didn't go out like some pussy, right? Handful of pills, watching a romantic comedy, wrapped in an Afghan that Nana made. Fuck that. This guy went out like a man. Take me up in a chopper. I'm looking at the land I love, and then I'm jumping out like a superhero. I loved it. Yeah. This guy should have been wearing a fucking cape. I can't imagine how elated he must have been on that helicopter ride up after finally, just taking back control of his life. Like, fuck you, disease. I decide. you know, ripping tubes out, gets a burger, shotguns a beer, take me up in the chop. We probably had his fucking foot on the dashboard. You know, he's not even listening to this guy giving the tour, right? Over 27 miles of beaches. Put your seatbelt back on. Established as a county in 1903. Sir, please don't try to open the door. No! Don't! Incredible. But here's the thing. I left out one small thing. There is one small thing. The guy fucking lived. Yeah, they were out over the ocean, 500 feet up. You'd think that would be enough. So I'm thinking he must have gone in like Greg Louganis, like no splash, just But witnesses said it looked like a dummy was falling out of the air. So that sounds like a hell of an impact. I think he accidentally did the most epic 500-foot belly flop in the history of jumping out of a helicopter, you know? But that didn't change what he was trying to do. Where his heart was, I still love this guy. I just feel bad for him. Just on the way down, he's got to be thinking, 3 more seconds of pain, 2 more seconds. Wow! Oh my God, this is worse! This is way worse! It has a happy ending, though. He later died at the hospital. That's right. So here's to him. God bless him. I hope I have the balls someday.
That was Bill Burr with the helicopter bit. Fucking one of my favorite bits of all time. Bill Burr is truly a work of art, especially in this day and age with such shitty comedy. Oh my God. I've been without new shit for a while, right? You know, this is a very first world thing of me, but during this coronavirus, I'm like, what do I do in my free time? I'm reading books, I'm working out. Sometimes I need to just calm down and watch something. And I can't watch any new comedy. So I'm like going back and watching Comedy Central shit. Some new comics I've never heard of. Maybe you'll find some diamonds in the rough. That's how I found Rory Scovel, who I think is great. These comics suck so much dick. It's unreal. It's incredible how bad they are. How unoriginal they are. Just go through Comedy Central. New subscribers on YouTube, by the way. Edward Gonzalez and Jonah Miller. Thank you guys so much for the subscriptions. I do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well, guys. Blackballed Podcast on YouTube. You can just type in youtube.com/C/Blackballed, I believe. It'll take you right there. But, yeah, Bill Burr is one of the last remaining good guys in the scene for good comedy, good stand-up, good podcast, too. His Monday morning podcast is one of my favorite things to do, to listen to. Him ranting about anything is hilarious. It's one of those things that never gets old. I definitely love the fuck out of that. Guys, we're going to take a commercial break and come right back with Radio Blackballed, which is an exclusive thing on DLive. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate that. I see a few of you on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to come on over for 2 more hours, we do a radio show. You submit the request. I play your music. If you're watching on DLive right now, go ahead and start submitting your song request. Here's what you can do. You can do a free song request, or you can pay, I think it's a diamond on your DLive. It's a weird currency thing. You'll figure it out on there. You pay a diamond or more, and you get your song played right away. So if you're still on YouTube and Facebook, watch this real quick. We're going to show a commercial of what you can see on DLive with all of this stuff as a subscriber, as a follower on DLive. We'll be right back after that with Radio Blackballed exclusively on DLive.tv/Murder the Media.
The current state of entertainment and media is looking grim, and it's only getting worse every day.
Turn myself into a pickle, Morty! Boom! Big reveal, I'm a pickle!
Late night talk shows have become opportunities for disgusting virtue signaling and grandstanding.
We have children without parents and fathers without sons, mothers without daughters.
Washed up hacks just laughing at their own jokes. Every major news outlet is spewing politicized garbage at you. Dishonest, opinionated propaganda.
How did you feel hearing that?
Forget about stand-up comedy. Announce the wrong thing, and cancel culture will make sure you're finished.
We control TV and we do great. That's not how anti-Semitism works. Like, you can't.
Even online media has become stale. It's eHorse playing Zelda and taking money from Sims.
So being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy.
We're cowardly cocks with about as much edge as a plastic spoon telling you how to think.
And let me tell you, folks, okay? Let me tell you, boy, but let me tell you, okay? Let me tell you.
The future is bleak. Hope is lost. Entertainment is dead. But there's a ray of hope shining through the despair. Murder the Media is here to help. We're bringing you original, quality entertainment you can watch from your phone and computer. Blackballed Podcast. The podcast with the blackest ball.
This minority gives me the coronavirus. How fucking dare she?
The sexy hunk Nick Oaks with the Oaks Report. The hottest way to get on the facts.
That's the level of interference you'd expect on a regular day here in Hawaii.
The Shotcast, where you can contribute to Mark and Tucker's kidney failure. Decentralized now, not to be confused with Fat White
This
Isis.
whole movement is very interested in controlling speech and intimidating you.
Thunderdome TV, the talk show that shits on everything and everyone, including you.
You know, 80% of them are fucking retards.
That's a high number.
Well, it's actually higher. I'm being generous.
Wow.
Disavowed with
Miles West and Levi Thompson.
Where no conspiracy is off limits.
It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they were fooled. I'm going to try and convince you that you were fooled.
And plenty of beautiful, hilarious sketches by yours truly, Rex Thompson.
Are you a repairman? Are you fixing the register?
Ditch the network television garbage and shitty YouTube programming and come to where the entertainment is at dlive.tv/murder the media.
And we are back with another episode of Radio Blackballed. I'm your host, Pierce, with the blackest balls. Welcome to the radio show, guys. If you're still watching on Facebook and YouTube, I do appreciate you. I do thank you, but I have to let you go because our technocratic overlords don't like us to have fun like we want to on their platforms. They'll copyright restrict us until no end. So, if you're still watching, I beg of you to come on over to dlive.tv/murder the media. If that commercial didn't convince you, I don't know what will. There's plenty more shows past that, by the way. Dare to Know on Fridays, Thursday Morning Epiphany with myself and Dick Nicarlo of Thunderdome TV. More shows on the way as well. By the way, Crumb Vision is out now, a new gaming stream from